Good morning, everyone. My name is Stephanie Levesque, and I am one of the co-site leads for the Stryker Women's Network in Canada. Today, I have the distinct honor of introducing our speaker. Sudha Dwivedi joined Stryker Canada in 2015 as the Director of Human Resources. Over the past 3.5 years, Sudha has been instrumental in hosting Canada's first Diversity and Inclusion Conference, enhancing our culture, improving employee benefit offerings, and leading the HR team to deliver service with excellence and pride. Day in and day out, Sudha shares her real, authentic self with us. Her passion, energy, and love of laughter is infectious. This is one of the many reasons why she's one of the most inspirational leaders I've ever had the privilege of working with. As the executive sponsor of our local SWIN committee, I couldn't think of anyone better to advocate on behalf of the accelerated growth of women at Stryker and to drive engagement for all of our employees. Please join me in a warm welcome to Sudha for her SWIN-sponsored TED Talk on why words matter.
Thank you. Oh my God, that's amazing. Wow. Thank you so much. Thank you. So, thanks everyone. How are you guys doing today? Good? Okay, good. So, words matter, right? We all know that, right? We teach our children, use your words. We all know the difference between good words and bad words. What's inappropriate to say and what's appropriate to say. Those are all kind of obvious, right? We know that stuff. It's how we work ourselves in our society today. But today, we're going to learn about a word that isn't so obvious and what that invokes in us. And that's the word should. So ladies and gentlemen, should is our new S word, okay? So when I was growing up, my father said to me, Sudha, you should be a doctor. It was ingrained in me every day that I should go to medical school. And I can tell you, every time he said it, I just cringed on the inside because I really didn't want to be a doctor for so many different reasons. But oddly enough, one of the biggest reasons is I'm kind of a germaphobe. But I didn't have the courage to speak up then on what I really wanted to do. I didn't even know, I was just a kid, right? But I continued to do what I was told I should be doing. So in high school, I took chemistry and biology. I went on into CEGEP because I'm from Quebec, so we have a 2-year college system before university. I kept doing what I was told I should be doing. And then in my first year of university, I took a class called Organizational Behavior. Any of you ever taken that class before? Yeah? So when I was in that class, guys, I loved it. It was like a symphony went off in my heart, a light bulb went off in my head, and I knew then that this was my calling, that this is the work that I wanted to do for the rest of my life. So delve forward like a couple of weeks later, my dad comes home from a conference. He was a professor of mathematics and statistics. And we're sitting around the kitchen table, kind of catching up on the week. And he said, so what's new? So I took a big gulp. I said, well, Dad, I switched into the Bachelor's of Arts Industrial Relations program because I want to work in human resources. You can imagine how the rest of that conversation went. Because you see, in those days, and in East Indian culture, we didn't have the flexibility to challenge our parents the way so openly the Generation Zs do today. So words matter, right? We know that. What we say, and more importantly, how we say it, have long-lasting effects on people. Had I continued to do what I was told I should be doing, I would not be standing in front of you today, and I would not have had a career that I have loved so much for 30 years. You ever been told what you should be doing, right? It happens to all of us. You should exercise, you should find a new job. I mean, the list is never-ending on what people tell us that we should be doing. And I can tell you, no one's intent is bad, right? They just want us to be happier, better, slimmer, productive. The intent is good. And I know that when my dad told me back then that I should be a doctor, he was coming from a place of care and protection. Because he came to Canada in 1962 from very, very humble beginnings. and he created a life for himself. And what he wanted for me was to create a life where I didn't have to struggle or want for things like he did. So he saw being a physician as a guaranteed employment that was respectable long term. And that's all he wanted for me. So, when we think about, what we should be doing, all it does is create a little bit of resentment in ourselves sometimes, right? And let me share you another very personal example. I'm putting it all out there now, guys, okay? I'm just putting it all out there for you. So, my husband Sandeep and I are the youngest in our families. And so hence our kids are the youngest in our families. So when we had our children, we had all the shoulds coming at us from our older siblings and family members on how we should parent. It's just overwhelming. And it was overwhelming for me. I already had a lot of doubt being a new mother, right? So I had a kid also that didn't sleep, a newborn that was up every 30 to 40 minutes. Went with that, 2 years later, had another newborn that also didn't sleep. So at this point, I now have a toddler and a newborn, and no one is sleeping. I'm on the brink of a breakdown at this point, okay? And I have all the shoulds coming at me like, you should stop nursing. You should give him a bottle. You should switch to formula. You should let him cry it out. You should Ferberize him. You should put cereal in his milk. Maybe that'll keep him fuller and he'll sleep through the night. You should put an egg in his milk because protein helps. Like, I wanted to give my kids salmonella, right? Guys, when I heard all these shoulds coming at me, this is all I wanted to scream out. It was just overwhelming. But the difference here, folks, is in intent versus outcome. When people tell us what we should be doing, our loved ones tell us what we should be doing, they really believe that they're helping us because they care for us and they're coming from a good place. But all that happened to me was I felt resentment, being more overwhelmed, and really were angry at the people that were telling me what I should do. And I don't think it works for any of us when we're told what we should do. So, because honestly, folks, we all just want to be heard. We all just want to feel acknowledged, and we all want to know that we're good enough. But when we hear the word should, this is what happens. It sounds like this. Like, you should be doing that, right? Like someone's disappointed in you because you're not doing what you should be doing. So you feel like you're a loser or a failure because you have all these words coming at you and it's invoking all of this self-doubt, right? So all the word should does is bring self-doubt in ourselves that frankly is already there. We all have self-doubt, regardless of who you are, regardless of what your top 5 strengths are. So you could have self-assurance and command and achievement in your top 5, but honestly, folks, this is not about self-awareness, okay? This is about what the word should invokes. And all that word does is create self-doubt in ourselves. So obviously, I finally did have the courage to shush all the shoulds in my life, and I continued in a career that I love so much, and I parented the way that I wanted to. But honestly, every time I heard the word should and what I should be doing, and in my heart not wanting to do that, I did feel shame and disappointment that I was letting my dad down or actually not being a good mom. So I know when you tell someone that what they should do, you believe that you're coming from a place of good because you're trying to motivate someone, you're trying to help them be more productive, but all that's doing is promoting the doubt and promoting the negativity. And you know what happens then? Our inner critic emerges. We all have an inner critic. Regardless of what gender you are, regardless of what age you are, regardless of what sexual orientation you are, we all have an inner critic. And that inner critic emerges with the word should and the negativity. So, like I said, we all have an inner critic regardless of your gender. Here's the thing though, the inner critic is more prevalent in women than it is in men. Don't worry guys, we will overtly criticize you when you need it. Okay, we're good at that. Okay, we're good at that. We'll criticize you when you need it. The author, Tara Moore, she says that it is more, the inner critic comes out more for personal reasons when you're a man. So a man will say, should I ask her out? Should I wear this shirt? Is she gonna like this? Should I call her? It's only been 2 days, right? So the men will have their inner critic emerge when it's more personal reasons. But women, our inner critic emerges when it's more professional. Like, should I apply for that job? Am I good enough? Should I ask for a raise? For us, it comes out for more professional reasons. And the inner critic is overwhelmingly a female thing. Negative self-talk comes out more often and more regularly when you're female. And here's the thing, guys, it's not tied to success or capability. The research shows that regardless of where you are in your life, whether you're a highly successful female in business or anywhere, or regardless of what level you are, the struggle is real for everyone. This is a female thing. So let's look at an example that might happen to some of us here at work, okay? How many of you have been in a meeting and you want to say something, you've got a point to raise, but you don't. You hold back because you think, is that going to sound obvious? Do people know this point already? Am I going to sound foolish if I put my hand up and say that? So you don't say it. That happen to anybody here? Yeah? Happens to me all the time. So you don't say it. And then somebody else says it like 5 minutes later, and it's like, and everyone goes, yeah, great point. Like, why didn't I say that? I wanted to say that, and I didn't say it. Why not? You know why you didn't? Your inner critic held you back. And your inner critic will disguise itself as a protector of you, saying, hey now, don't speak up. You might look foolish, so I'm going to tell you to not speak up and hold you back. And it disguises itself as someone who's trying to protect you from not making a fool of yourself. Don't be tricked by that, okay? Don't be tricked by that. All your inner critic is doing is holding you back from being at your fullest potential. That's all she's doing. So, Marianne Williamson says, and I want to read this quote so I don't get it wrong, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. Your playing small does not serve this world. I love this quote. Your playing small does not serve this world. So shine. When you shine, you allow others to shine. Play big. Take a risk. And I know in our society today that making mistakes is considered a bad thing, right? None of us want to make a mistake. We all got to be perfect, look perfect, act perfect. God forbid you make a mistake. That makes no sense. There is no creativity or innovation in this world without failure, right? Fail, F-A-I-L, from all I learn. That's how we learn and grow as human beings, by making a mistake. So play big, take a risk, and put yourself out there. Any leader or successful person that has told you that they have never made a mistake is either not being truthful or is not self-aware, neither of which you want to be, right? So your inner critic loves the word should, okay? She loves it because that's how she gets invoked. And she will tell you, hey now, don't follow your dream. Stay the course. Don't apply for the other job that you might want. Stay with the manager that doesn't inspire you because it's too risky to leave. You should stay in this relationship that is not good for you because you don't know what else is out there. So she's holding you back from reaching your fullest potential. And like I said, we all have an inner critic. I have one. I will share with you. My inner critic is huge, huge. She has been with me almost my entire life. She's on my shoulder, in my ear, telling me, not good enough, not smart enough, not thin enough, don't take a risk. So ladies and gentlemen, meet Susie. Don't be fooled by that smile. She's nasty. Don't be fooled by that smile. She's quite nasty. And she has been with me. My kid's vape finally came in handy. She has been with me my entire life. And I can tell you, I know for a fact that I have missed out on opportunities in life, missed out on putting myself forward, because I had my inner critic telling me, don't do it, Sudha, don't take that risk. And things passed me by that perhaps would have helped me shine. Guys, I almost didn't do this talk today because she almost talked me out of it, okay? But now, at least I have the courage to send her away. And all I do is I say, shut up, Susie, and I send her away. So you see that I named my inner critic, right? You need to name your inner critic too. There are lots of strategies on how you can get rid of your inner critic, but by naming it, at least you put a voice and a face beside it, right? Look, all of your outer critics have names, right? You know who they are. You know who your outer critics are. Give your inner critic a name. That will help you recognize that voice and send it away. So why did I name her that? Sidebar story. So I grew up in Montreal, and after school I used to go to the park and play, and my neighborhood was unilingually francophone. So when I went to the park and I told the kids, hi, my name is Sudha, they couldn't say my name. They botched it. I'm kind of used to that, you know, botching my name, mispronouncing it. But after a while, they just didn't even try. They just unilaterally started calling me Susie. I'm like, what? How'd y'all come up with that name? You know? So always resented that name. And here's another strategy, guys. Let your loved ones know what your inner critic's name is. Okay? They will help you on this journey. So now when I'm at home talking with my husband about an idea I'm working on or something that I want to do, and he hears that doubt in my voice, he's like, hey, who's talking now? I hear some doubt. Is this Susie? Has she popped up again? Let's get rid of her, right? So enlist those in your life to help you, okay? So let's look at a real work example. You're in a meeting with your team and your manager. You walk out of that meeting, and your manager says to you, you should speak up more. Sound familiar? What does that invoke in you? You're like, am I being judged? Am I too quiet? Is this going to show up on my review? Right? All this doubt and negativity starts to pop up in your head because of the words, you should speak up more. Let's look at words, how this feedback can sound different. Come out of a meeting, and your manager says to you, I'd love to hear more from you. Doesn't that sound and feel different? You should speak up more versus, I love to hear more from you. Wow, she wants to hear more from me. I must be really insightful. That's great. I can assure you guys that when your manager said you should speak up more, she thought she was being helpful in coaching you, right? But the reverse happens. So words matter. What we say and how we say them have long-lasting effects on people. Let's look at a different example. Your two friends talking, two women. What do we normally talk about? Losing weight, right? So your friend says to you, hey, I want to be a different size by next year or whatever. And you're like, great. You should exercise more. You should start keto. You should blah, 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 right? Look, she knows that. But in hearing all the shoulds from you, she starts to feel defeated, and that negativity spiral can go down. Right? So how do we word that differently? Same situation. I want to be a smaller size by next year. And you say, sounds like you value self-care. Sounds like this is important to you. What are you willing to do about it? Or what can you commit to doing? When you use words like value and commitment, it takes away the negativity and the spiral of the word should. A whole new experience happens with people when you bring it to value and commitment, because the power of the decision making is within themselves. The recipient is now making their decision versus being told what they should do and feeling negative that they have not been doing that all the while. When you use words like value and commitment, the power of the decision making resides in them. Right? So now we can go through a ton of examples of this, right? Because it's human nature. We all talk amongst our family and friends like, you know, I've got this issue going on, can you help me? And it's human nature and tendency and mental muscle to say, you should do this, right? That's what our mental muscle has trained us to do. But let me give you some words now that you can use instead of that. Because now that you know better, you will say better, okay? Knowing what that word invokes. So, someone comes to you with an issue like, I'm not really happy at work, or I'm not really happy in the job I'm in. The set of words you want to ask first are, what's important to you? That's where you're going to get the value that matters to that person. What's important to them? Maybe they want to be inspired more. Maybe they want more challenging work. Maybe they want more flexibility. But you won't know until you know what's important to them. So ask them that question with these words. What is important to you? Okay? Then what's their goal? What do you want? That's the goal that they want to achieve. And now that you know what they want, you're going to want to tell them, well, you should do this, but you won't, because now that you know better, you will say better, right? So now that you know what their goal is and what's important to them, because that's what they value, the following set of words are, what do you need to do to get what you want? That's where the commitment comes from. That's where you get their commitment, that they can reach the goal that they want to do, because now the decision making is all within them and they're not being told what they should do. They own the decision. And it's a very powerful thing to own your own decision and the goal that you want to achieve. So guys, we all know this. Life is so precious. And the people around us are so precious. So let's use words that are going to lift each other up. Let's use words that are going to help each other be the best that they can be, right? We want to use words that are going to empower people to make their own decisions and feel great about the decisions that they make. Those are the kinds of words that we want to use. So dial forward now. 20 years later, my career has progressed, and my parents would call me from Montreal with some story about what's happening in the family, some issue or something in the community, and they'd go through the whole situation, and they'd come to the end, and they'd say, okay, Sudha, tell us what we should do. You know people. Tell us what we should do. And I would simply respond by saying, what can you do? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'll take any, oh, you didn't have to do that.
So this is a little something on behalf of the SWIN committee and the HR team for your very inspirational talk to us this morning.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Thank you. You didn't have to do that. Thank you. My God, I feel like a beauty pageant. I'll take any questions if you have any. Yeah.
So the word should, like, I'm curious, how long ago did you start thinking about that word? Like, how did we get here today?
Yeah, so certainly at the time, when I had my kids and I was being told should, it hit me then. But it hit me more, I would say, in the last couple of years, especially as I'm raising young adults now, right? My kids are 20 and almost 18, and they're trying to figure out themselves too now, like on who they want to be and how they want to present themselves in the world. And it takes everything in me as a mom, not to say, I know what you should do this, right? That's the mental muscle we have. But remembering my own journey, what I was told, what I should do or should be, it hit me again saying, oh no, let's find out what's important to them and what they want to do, what they can do, what they can commit to doing. And I just reflected back on that again as my kids enter this age in their lives. Yeah.
How did you shush the shoulds?
Oh, I just did what I was going to do anyways. I did. I mean, I was never going to really say shut up to my family members. I wasn't raised that way. But, ultimately I just did what I had to do. And for my kids, I bought a king-size bed and brought them all in, and that's how we slept. I can't even tell you the judgment we got then. Now, there's a lot of judgment on that. But, you got to do what you got to do just to make it through the night sometimes, right? Yeah. Anything else? Mm-hmm.
Being able to control your Susie, do you still want her to be present sometimes? Do you feel like
Nope. Nope, don't need her. She does nothing good for me. Like I said, I don't think any of our inner critics will do anything good for you. Like I said, they will disguise themselves as trying to protect you. Saying, don't put yourself out there, don't take a risk. That's a disguise, that's a mask. All they're holding you back is from not reaching your fullest potential. Because in our society today, and in our work environment, making a mistake is not a good thing, right? That's our own change management that we have to go through. We have to create this environment of psychological safety where you can make a mistake and still be okay, right? Failure is not bad, but it's how we see it. You make a mistake and all of a sudden you're shunned. That's how we learn. I've made tons of them, tons. Some of the stuff today, I can tell you, I said backwards and not in the right order that I did last night. But I'm like, okay, hopefully no one will notice. So, practice more, I guess.
You talked to us about shushing your inner critic.
Mm-hmm.
How do you address your outer critics? What are strategies to deal with?
Yeah, well, don't say shut up. That's not nice because words matter. We know what good words are. So I would, if you have an outer critic and we know who they are, I would address that in a very calm and quiet situation where there aren't other people around, right? That has to be a one-on-one conversation. And I think that conversation is more like, when you say this is the impact it has on me. Because sometimes people don't realize what their words sound like or what the impact of those words are. And what we tend to do sometimes, Heather, is we tend to apologize for people before we even say it. I know you don't really mean this when you say it. I know that's not what you're trying to do, but this is what it does to me. Don't give them an out. When you say this is the impact it has on me. And then stay quiet. Because we tend to overtalk and say, and when you say, and then I feel this way, and then you're talking and you're not letting them explain where they're from. So just say it and stay quiet and let them respond. Yeah. Anything else? Good. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your support. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, guys.